All right. So first I'm going to introduce you to John and Marie there, who are sitting in my top screen, which I know they may not be in yours. Give us a wave. There they are. So they've just arrived back from Kili, and without any prompts, without them knowing that I'm doing this, I'm going to quiz them for a little bit on what made them choose it, why they did it, what was their best experience. So I guess, first of all, John and Maria, well done, congratulations, because what a bloody tough adventure that you did and that you managed to survive. You both sat there smiling still at me, so that's going to be a good thing. What made you choose to go to Kili?
Hey.
Can you hear us?
There we go, and they should be there too.
Can you hear us, John and Marie? All right, let's it looks like we've just lost them. Maybe we'll go to Alina. Alina, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, let's do one. All right, so I've just introduced John and Maria, but this is Alina, and Alina also comes back to Kili with us. So Alina, what made you choose Kilimanjaro?
Honestly, it was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I kept putting it off if it's financially or looking for other people to do it with. And I just pulled the finger out and go, look, I need to get on with this. I chose to go with Take Shape as a solo single female. I just felt I wanted to be part of a group, and more in particular, like-minded people. John and Marie, who you'll speak with shortly, we had plenty of time having a good chat on the trail, with other like-minded people. They did the Camino last year, so I was just picking their brain and asking them lots of questions. But yeah, it was just really that like-minded group of people that I really enjoyed being around with.
And what did you think about the overall experience? What was your best bits? What were the highlights of our tour compared to maybe other people that you saw on the mountain?
Our guides, like the actual team over in Africa, were fantastic. We had the best singers. We had the best. We had the best entertainment from Adrian, eating lots of cakes and muffins and being our garbage. So if you couldn't eat everything on your plate, send it to Adrian. But plenty of times, plenty of chats. I think for me as well, I didn't have to think about anything. It's like you get told, be here, be ready at this time, and you go. It's like you don't have to think. It's like the best part of being on a holiday is just you get told what to do and where to be.
Yeah.
Not having to cook was fantastic. Not having to set up tents was also great. So yeah.
I hear you're a bit spoiled, because not only did you get your tent set up, but the porters actually took tables and chairs for you guys, whereas all the other plebs were sitting on rocks and on the floor, and you were sitting on tables and chairs through the journey.
Absolutely. The best part was especially for morning tea, when you're just like, oh yeah, could do with a good cuppa. And then you just go around the hill, and then you pop up through the trees, and then there's our table all laid out and chairs and all our food's there, and tea, hot chocolate, coffee, whatever you want, snacks, and all our porters are there just smiling, and because you get to know them obviously, and then you're just like, hi Freddie, or whoever was there. So yeah, it was really nice.
And what about, I mean, obviously I guess the elephant in the room is fitness and altitude, and what did you do to prepare for that, and what did you find worked well, and what was your kind of overall opinion on fitness, I guess, of doing it?
My recommendation is definitely get used to hiking, especially with a weighted pack. I do a lot of camping normally. I've also got a dog, so we go out walking, easily 5 days a week, but weekends I really did dedicate to walking a good 10, 15 Ks, either each day or every second day, depending on the trail. Where I live is quite hilly, so some of the trails I was doing, I was averaging, maybe 1,000 meters altitude gain just for training. I also increased my pack weight just to make sure that when I was on the trail, it was easier than I thought.
Yeah.
I also did some strength work as well, just low resistance work, but a bit of bike riding for cardio. But yeah, it's been on my list for a while. So there's different levels of fitness, obviously, but the fitter you are, I would say it's more of an advantage, especially for the longer days.
And I mean, obviously altitude is going to play you regardless of whether it's going to play you or not. And there's certainly things that you can do with hydration and taking the Dimox and stuff. And I think the biggest thing is that it does make you have to walk a lot slower. So even if you think that you're really fit, you're not necessarily powering off, are you?
No, absolutely not. Like, so it was a bit of a joke in my group. I was doing all the statistics throughout the day. So our average walking pace was 2.2 kilometers an hour.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
guys set the pace and you can't go in front of them. So you're just following, or you're talking. Like it's just more about the stamina. Like
It's a mental game, isn't it? Not necessarily a fitness challenge game.
Especially summer night. 50% mental, 50% actually
So we'll get onto that in a second.
getting up there.
So I've just seen Marie and John back in, so I might let them explain to us a little bit about Summit Day and obviously the big climb. So for those of you who don't know, the last kind of camp that you stay at is about 4,500 meters. And on that last night, you get up in the middle of the night. I think it was at 2 a.m. that you got up. Midnight. And you walk through the night and the temperatures are pretty chilly to actually make it up for sunrise. So you have the maximum time to come back down in daylight. And it is a tough mental, physical challenge. John and Marie, do you have anything to say that you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, well, and you didn't really scare us off when you started with the questions with us before. So John and I had very different experiences on Summit Night. It's hard work, no doubt about that, but I really appreciate the pace that the porters set, and I could almost say I almost enjoyed Summit Night and the challenge of it. I know, I have to say it really carefully.
Fingers crossed.
Because this person sitting next to me won't say the same thing. Yeah. John, do you want to say?
Yeah, I struggle a little bit. I suppose I've got a couple of health concerns anyway. I've got asthma and diabetes, so I don't know whether it was that contributed to making it so difficult, or the altitude, or a combination of the lot. What I can say though is that the support of the crew, our own crew, but also Eastland Adventures, who were the guides and porters, was incredible. Wouldn't have got to Stella Point without the support of everyone. When sunrise started to happen, that gave hope, a little bit of warmth. It was bloody cold up there. But as hard as it was, when we got to the top, when we got to Stella Point, the crater rim, there's no feeling like that. It's worth every single bit of effort and challenge, mentally and physically, to get up there and look around with the people we had, and it was just an enormous amount of exhilaration to have got there. So it was pretty fantastic.
Good. Well, I really appreciate you guys joining us on this talk tonight, and obviously just experiencing, sharing your experience, because I think no matter how well we can tell people about it, having you guys just come back with your stories is a really nice way of just sharing what we did. So I guess we're just going to go for a bit of a slideshow now with some of the things that we've picked up on. Is there any advice that you'd give somebody, any of these people who are sat there right now thinking, oh, I'm not sure I can do it, or it sounds a bit hard, or oh, it's a bit big? What would you say to them right now?
My reaction is do it. And really, if you enjoy challenging yourself, it is so rewarding. And as Alina said before, that having a bit of stamina behind you and doing some serious preparation for it physically, emotionally as well. I think mentally, trying to, challenge yourself and realize whether you are up to the challenge. And it's hard to know until you're actually in that situation whether you are or not, but the more preparation you can do with the carrying the pack and your weekend walks and things like that, the better off you are as well.
Also, if you're unsure of something, ask Adrian and Tracy. They are experienced, knowledgeable, and always ready to help. So questions we thought were maybe a little bit silly, we asked anyway, and they were always pretty quick to get back to us about whether it was physical needs, training needs, what gear to take, backpacks, sleeping bags, whatever you need to know or unsure, just ask them because they know what you need.
Yeah, definitely no silly questions leading up to an event like this. It's not, I suppose, a normal run-of-the-mill pack list either. You need not so much specific gear, but you need more of a wide range of gear. And with maybe a weight limit in terms of either an airplane weight limit or a personal carry limit, or even the portal limits. You sort of you got to put it all together and then pull it all apart again and actually decide what's relevant to take and what's not. Probably the only thing I'd say is don't bother bringing as a hardcover book. You can see these guys immediately laugh. It's a bit of an in-house joke because I ended up carrying someone's hardcover book for the week all the way around the mountainside that they hadn't read at all.
Yeah,
and it
there's no
wasn't a little
time.
book.
That was very kind of you, Adrian. Very kind.
All right, so we'll go through the slideshow. Like I said, we're aiming to keep you here for like another 20 minutes. We're not going to try and keep you here all night. Adrian's just going to go through a few of the slides of the questions that we most commonly get asked and answered. And I hope you've appreciated Alina, Marie and John just giving you a little bit of their feedback. But as we just go through, again, down on your bottom of your screen, if you haven't used Zoom before, there's a little reactions button that'll put a little hand up. By all means, it's a small group, put your hand up and just double check. But at the end, we'll have an open question and answers too. So if we can get through the slides, then we can have a bit more of a round table, turn the recording off and actually then, have a bit more of a chat. So yeah, take you over to Adrian.
So yeah, look, the others has obviously mentioned the trek side of things, how hard the trekking. Look, it is hard work in a sense that the elevation is tricky and some of the terrain. You can see this particular photo of that famous Barranco wall, which we go up, and I think pretty much everybody, without a doubt, thought that this was one of the highlights of the trek on the way up. So yes, the walking is hard. The elevation is obviously hard for everybody. But the flip side of that is that the pace is incredibly slow. So it's actually just an initial reminder to those that are on the fitter side that the walking is slow. You need to have, I think Alina said before, you need to have a good mental capacity to just take it easy, to really absorb where you are and to just plod slowly. There is never, ever, ever a rush. So more often than not, you are just, 1 foot in front of the other for a few hours on end. Probably the only other aspect to that is because you're walking so slowly, you don't cover distances very fast. So, the guides go, we're doing 6Ks today, and everybody goes, yay, 6 kilometers. And that still takes you 8 hours to walk 6 kilometers because you're just not going very fast. That's the trekking side of things. Any other questions? Yep, just shout out.
JB, yeah.
I was going to say the positive with the pace is you get plenty of time to look around, appreciate where you are and enjoy the different scenery, and also plenty of time to chat to people that you're walking with too, so get to know people really well.
Yeah, good. Just going to open the chat. Yeah.
So are we open to questions, guys? Or
If you want to approach me, we'll do a lot at the end. If there's something in particular about the trek, then please do just ask away.
oh, not in particular. I'm just querying. Obviously, it's very hard to simulate sort of altitude here in Australia. I live close to the high country here. Bulla would probably be my highest point. I've already kind of put out feelers for people to help me negotiate a few hikes a week from January onwards up in the high country, but obviously it's nowhere near as high. I'm just thinking, would 2 hikes a week from January up in that sort of altitude, which is not a lot, be enough? At the moment, my son's got me into rucking, so I've got a weighted vest on that I'm doing 15 Ks every second day, if not every day, with that on. But it's not with altitude. It's 15 Ks, but it's on the Victorian Rail Trail. It's not there's no altitude involved. So
So again, just to go over training and the hiking, which I think is one of our questions in a minute, but I'll just touch base and slide onto that screen actually. From a physiological point of view, if you live down here in Melbourne or most of Australia, you will not get altitude training.
no,
You know, we just cannot stimulate it. How you react under altitude will depend on the day, on who you are, what you've eaten, how you've slept. So many different factors that you cannot play on. The only thing that you can play on is just generally having that stamina and that mental strength. And as John and Marie were saying, it really is about just mentally being prepared for that slow, hard slog.
yeah,
The fitter you are, in theory, the more you can withstand that. But from experience in altitude training, often the really fit people suffer.
yeah.
Because they're used to going at speed.
Yeah, well, that's me. I want to just go,
consistent.
yeah.
So if you're a plodder and it doesn't matter what your speed is and you can walk for 10 hours and you're really good in your own mental headspace, you're probably going to be just as better than somebody who can run 20 Ks, but, you know, can't stay on their feet for 10 hours.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So yes, if you can get up in the high country, great, do it. But it's probably more about time on your feet and mental capacity to know that you've done the best you can. That's going to get you over there, rather than feel that you're fit and ready and actually come a bit of a cropper because you feel you're so fit that you're actually frustrated at the hike pace rather than anything else, which I think Alina is smiling there. I think that was something you found, wasn't it, Alina?
Yeah, John in particular and I had some great chats along the way. Like, you get to know people really well because you can take it slower and you've got the time to absorb, and you can also then control your breathing. Or you do what I did to Marie and you ask her questions when you're going up hills.
Fell for it.
Oh yeah, there's lots of tricks that way, isn't there?
So yeah, look, just I suppose following on from that is who, you know, who comes, who's been. We've had everybody from, I suppose, probably early 30s through to mid 60s, I want to say. Yeah, I'm getting some nods there. And again, look, you know, as we've just covered, you know, age is not that barrier. It's ability. You know, one of our common jokes all week on a particular trek was not even it was the walking; it was the bending over to get in and out of the tent each night. You know, things like that. You know, simple things like getting in and out of a two-person tent, you know, in the morning without, you know, rolling around in the dirt to start with. You know, that was just something that you'd need to be able to do reasonably comfortably for you know, a couple of days on end. That was one of our other clients. Melissa was there, and her comment was that, you know, even without the trekking, you know, just getting in and out of a tent 6 days in a row, you know, is something that you should probably go and practice. We were all joking that you need a low bar next to the bed and you have to climb under the low bar before you could get into bed every night. So yeah, look, a whole range of different people, range of backgrounds, range of hiking experiences, fitness, knowledge, skill sets, gear, you know, everyone coming from a different perspective. The goal being, as mentioned, camaraderie within the group. So having a good mindset for group travel, supported by, you know, a extremely competent and well-organised local team. As you can see, photo there was just our typical dinner, and like dinner, breakfast was full on. It was delicious. It was fresh food. It was tea and coffee. Muffins. The muffins were a little bit hard to chew some days, but otherwise exceptional food. You know, John here is celiac. They had that covered, you know, all the way through. So all the different meals, health checks each day. So we'll do, you know, O2 and heart rate, and then just a feeling, essentially a question and answer of how you're feeling, the medication you're on, your water intake, your headache, nausea, how hungry you are, all those sorts of things, so that both yourself and the local guides can give you a bit of a physical assessment and go, well, yes, you're right to continue, or maybe we need to have a bit more of a chat.
So how many base camps are there, Adrian, on the way up?
So it's a 5-night. 5-night?
Okay. And on the way down, the trip coming down is a lot quicker?
6 nights, so it's pretty much 5 nights up, 1 night down.
Yeah, okay.
The reason for that is that we take what's called the Lamosho route, which is a longer route to the summit. What that means is you actually start at around about 2,500 meters on the first day, and you slowly wind your way pretty much all the way around the mountain. And as you do, you gain small amounts of elevation each day.
Yeah.
2 of the days you actually gain elevation and drop again to sleep down lower.
Yeah.
So it's a greater success rate on that route, allowing you to acclimatise a bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is the track that has the longest ascent, which is why we chose it. We kind of figure if people are paying thousands of dollars to going over there, they can pay a little bit extra and do an extra day to acclimatise.
Yeah.
And because it has about a 90% chance of getting people to the top, whereas some of the others are down about 40%. So you can get up there for about half the price, but you've got about half the chance of actually making it. So that's pretty much the way the equations work with the Kili treks.
Yep.
So most of the people that go up, are they first timers?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And your success rate of getting people to the top?
We've had 20 out of 21 so far.
Right.
For the trips we've run. Yeah, so it's very good. And all first timers, yep. Mind you, our guide, I think our lead guide had climbed the mountain 176 times.
Bloody hell.
So
That's a lot.
there is no doubt of their experience level.
Yeah.
You can see here a bit of a picture of our gear. You have essentially 2 bits of gear. You have your own personal bag, which can weigh anywhere between 4 kilos if you're good, up to maybe 10 kilos if you're carrying a book and everyone's cups. And then you've got a duffel bag, and your duffel bag is just your spare gear, clothing, sleeping bag, and it's got a 15 kilo weight limit, and that's what the porters drag up and around. When you get to camp, there's a lovely little yellow tent set up for you, your little number in front of it, and your bag's already inside along with your mattress. So you roll in, they come along, they dust off your boots for you. If you can't reach your feet anymore, they undo your gaiters and take your gaiters off and take your boots off.
Yeah.
And you lay there for half an hour before
Yeah.
getting up and moving.
Could imagine. So with people that are on their own, are they sharing tents, or can we opt to have our own tent?
Either. You can elect to have a single share tent. I think there is a cost involved, but we can accommodate that.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, they are quite large 2-person tents. Yeah. But that's a choice you can make. And otherwise, the duffel bags are just a normal style duffel bag, around the sort of 70 to 90 litre mark normally. But you don't have to carry a lot. And in fact, on a few of the days, a couple of the clients just essentially palmed off the day bag to some of the porters. So,
Okay.
yeah, lots of opportunity, lots of support.
Thank you.
And there you go. That's our lunch spot actually on about maybe day 3. It must be day 3 there, I think. That's really not a bad spot to have lunch. Off on the right-hand side, you can't quite see it. There's cloud way down there. We're at about maybe 3,500 meters, maybe close to 4,000 meters, having lunch at a picnic table, hot water, tea and coffee, popcorn, peanuts galore, more peanuts than you could possibly want. So you can just sit there eating peanuts all the time.
Unreal.
And yeah, just in terms of the luggage, yes, you can leave luggage at the hotel. So we start at the same hotel that we come back to. So you can take travel gear and essentially your safari gear. If you're doing that, you can leave all that at the hotel. You take your hike gear, you take your trekking gear up on the trek. When you come back, you go through all your bags and you rearrange it all, and you take your safari gear and leave all your trekking gear at the hotel as well. So again, well set up so that you're not having to lug from one end of the tour to the other.
So Adrian and Tracy, sorry, either side of the trip, how many days do you recommend sort of getting there, like 1 or 2 days before the start and then again after, or 2?
we have a pre-day that that is not on the tour itinerary, but we will suggest that people can opt into, and that goes and visits like a waterfall and does a coffee tour, coffee plantation tour. I think that was very well received this time around. I'll try and include that in the upcoming itinerary. I think, look, personally, I think others probably agree with me. Arriving that day or two is fine. Extending that anymore is probably unnecessary. There's not a heck of a lot of things to do in Moshi. You can't get anywhere by yourself. It's a difficult area to travel around in. So I would again, that's something you can probably liaise with us as to when other clients are going, maybe what flights we recommend, so that you are getting there with a reasonable amount of time to settle in. And not be too
jet lagged.
Jet lagged. Going over, I think normally the case going that way is not jet lagged. Coming back to Australia, you get a bit of jet lag. So I'd probably actually, if I'm going to suggest anything, is that when you get back to Melbourne, you have 2 or 3 days before you go back to work. Would be my suggestion. I think I'm getting a few nods there from as well, because that's when you feel fine. The excitement's over. Trip was awesome. Great stuff. Monday, back to work, and you're asleep at the desk. A couple of quick questions. What's the sleep bag requirement? Look, it actually wasn't as cold as what I thought. I was in a sub 6 bag. I think others were in like sub 10 and sub 15 bags. I think most people were kicking them off. It really wasn't as cold as what we expected. That's my view. There is sleeping bags for hire if you really don't have anything available here in Melbourne. If you're wanting to buy a bag, I can assist with that at some stage. And then what kind of surface? It is all rock and dirt. Yes, rocky dirt trail. Bit of more dirt further down in the rainforest, but otherwise it's dusty and rocky for the entire walk. Yeah. Just going to move on a little bit onto the safari for just a couple of minutes. I found probably my personal take back from this is that my iPhone was pretty useless. I put it away after lunchtime on the first day because I was just getting blurry photos of the grass. Two of the other clients had long cameras, and they took lovely photos like this one here of a leopard picking up its cub, which was just an incredible sight to see. And nice close-up photos like that. So the safari's a few days. It was 3 nights, 4 days in safari vehicles. So you're sort of your open top 4-wheel drives with a fridge in them with cold drinks. So that was nice all the way through. Although I will tell you the wee stops are intermittent. So a couple of tips for next time is we'll give the guides a bit of a heads up as to when people need to wee, because it was hard to sit there while the vehicle's bouncing around and you really need to wee, and you can't get out because of lions and tigers and hippos. Yeah, so lots to see. However, having said that, it's nature, so be prepared for maybe an hour of not seeing anything, followed by a herd of elephants for 10 or 15 minutes wandering right past the vehicles. An incredible sight. Once again, it's nature. We saw a couple of animals hunting and obviously being killed. So if that's not your thing, then maybe look the other way. Lots of dirt roads. There are long distances to travel within the Serengeti National Park, so it can be a few hours in a vehicle. Some of them are a bit bumpy at times. So yeah, just being comfortable traveling around in a vehicle is good for this particular portion of the tour. Having said that, some incredible moments with again in the vehicle, chatting, pointing out things. Zebras quickly became like kangaroos. So, you know, the first 3 zebras were like, wow, zebra. And after 4 days, it was, you know, you barely pointed them out. There was just thousands of zebras everywhere. I just got to say, firstly, one of the funniest things I saw a few times was when you go past a herd of zebras and they are black with white stripes. Although Alina debated this heartily for many hours. When they stand opposite ways, so they face opposite ways for protection. And so I think also is that you cannot tell how many there are. So there was 1 or 2 spots where the vehicle's just crawling along, and there's a herd of zebras sitting there, and you see one standing like this, and then the other standing like this, and all you see is a 2-headed zebra. It looks absolutely hilarious because all the lines match up, and you've just got this 2-headed zebra. And if I had a bigger camera, I would have just spent all afternoon trying to get a 2-headed zebra photo. All right. Many hours per day. Yeah. Look, generally, just back to the trek. A couple of questions. Sorry, I've swooped it back to the.
Oh, yeah, let's go. I was going to click on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good. Actually, just switch back to that. Just for a photo. How many Ks per day? This is us leaving the campsite. So some mornings we left at about 8 or 9 o'clock. A couple of mornings we did leave at 5. We were up at 5, on the trail at 7. You have a long time frame to get ready each morning. So they come and bring you tea and coffee in your tent in the morning. So I would generously accept my coffee. I'd put it down. I'd sleep for another 45 minutes and then get up. So yeah, you're on your feet for many hours, and so then you finish anywhere between 2 to or one day we did finish late. Was day 2 was a long day. It was about 17 Ks. But yeah, other times you know, and again, you're sitting around for an hour at lunchtime, you sit around for a few hours at dinner. So although you are on your feet, it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an exhausting amount each day. John mentioned he suffers from asthma. John, do you mind stepping in? How did you manage with your asthma, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm not a severe asthmatic. I've got exercise-induced asthma. The last 3 days, I coughed basically for 3 days, but I didn't feel tight in the chest. But I had my Ventolin probably about 4 hourly, and that was what worked for me. I've also got a preventer which I had each night and in the morning. I talked to my doctor beforehand. If you've got any health concerns, talk to your doctor. The doctor actually gave me a preventer which is twice the strength of what I would normally take as well. So I think that helped as well. And yeah, I think it was more the dust that was affecting me and making me cough more than the altitude. Yeah, any health concerns at all, talk to your doctor, let them know what you're doing. And yeah, mine was managed with Ventolin and Seretide, and that got me through.
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for that. Yeah, good recommendation too on just seeing your doctor if you've got any concerns about travel to Africa in general, and obviously any particular health concerns as well. As I said earlier, the team on the mountain do a health check each day.
Yeah.
That is essentially it's a basic health check to make sure that you are primarily not suffering from altitude sickness, and then secondarily making sure that you are managing the level of effort required each day.
So again, it's probably
Sorry, is there a trip in 2025, the only one commencing 29 June?
No, so we've got a second one planned for September. We're just confirming dates. There seems to be a lot of interest for going over the school holidays again in September. So we're just working with the company at Kili to see if we can get that second date in. So
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. From a point of view of fitness, you've got more than enough time. If you guys can walk out 10 Ks now, you've got more than enough time to train for this hike. Fitness, like we say, it's not about being the fittest person. You will never be the slowest person because everybody's going to be as slow as you are, and probably slower. So it's not that point of view. It's stamina, as Alina said, it's strength, it's mental agility to know that you can tough it out if you're not feeling so great on any one of those particular days. And if you get altitude sickness, well, you get altitude sickness. It sucks. It's bad. But you do everything you can to prepare yourself. And to be honest, you will not know. It doesn't matter how fit you are or how unfit you are until you go up into those situations. And obviously some days, as we all know from, you know, being fit and training, you do better than others. And so I would strongly suggest, as a psychologist in me, to say it's probably more about your mental attitude and your self-compassion, that, you know, you just allow yourself to be in that space of maybe not, you know, feeling your best on any particularly one day.
Just a couple of questions there.
Okay, yep. Do you wanna...
So what does the altitude sickness feel like? Look, it feels terrible if you suffer from it, but I think, again, for the most part, our group had, you know, varying degrees of, you know, headache, a bit of nausea, a bit of upset stomach, a bit of loss of appetite, you know, a little bit of diarrhea. Those sorts of things are reasonably common. That was within a group of 10 people over 7 days. You're going to get those sorts of things. It's then how far those things progress. If you're getting nausea to the point where you're continually throwing up, our local team have oxygen that they carry up the mountain. That is for assistance to help you manage and then get back down. So we will not administer oxygen to help you get to the summit, but it is there if necessary to ensure that we can manage anybody that does start to suffer more severe complications with altitude. My phone was not fantastic in Safari. The phone was no good for a Safari because I couldn't zoom in. That was all. Yeah. Otherwise, going up the mountain, my phone was fantastic. That's because I had hands that I could actually get it out of my jacket pocket. Whereas I think all the rest of the clients had all their mitts and gloves on, and it was too difficult for them to do anything other than, I think, wave and do this. So even Marie realised that her loops on her walking sticks didn't fit over her gloves onto her wrist, so she ended up just wearing them like this and then grabbing her sticks. Yeah. Whereas I walked separately because I was able to walk with my hands in my pockets. I took a lot of photos of the group on the way up. So.
For the iPhones, like I've just got a normal everyday Samsung, and for the first 5 days, those phones were fantastic for the part.
Yeah.
It's only Safari where you need, if you want to get some close-up photos.
Yeah. Training plan, we do assist with training. So that will depend on you, where you're at, what you want to do, but that is absolutely part of what we're here for, is to assist you getting there in the best shape possible.
And I think especially for those people that are lucky enough to be Melbourne based, and I know John and Marie came down a bit, and unfortunately Elena's up in Sydney, aren't you, Elena? Yeah. You know, half of the group would have met each other pre the actual departure because of doing some of the training sessions with us. So certainly beneficial for those people that live around here. And I think especially the July group, because I can see both Callie and Kylie are on the chat. They have managed to get a good portion of you people to come and do it with them. So there's already quite a group of people that are inspiring each other to take the chance next year, which actually is what we really love and what we, part of what we love doing. So you probably will know people before you even start. So obviously it is a big expense for a lot of people. The flights are generally, we go for Qatar. There are many flights that you can choose. The reason we choose Qatar is because it's a one stopover. It stops off in Doha, but last year, because it was incredibly expensive for that flight, there was a good, probably, I don't know, half the group that went through Thai Airways and did a Thai Airway, Ethiopian Airway, and no one had any issues. We will say that travel insurance is mandatory and you have to have adventure cover, which we will give you more details on. And again, there will be another information night for those that have booked in with the mandatory vaccinations, insurance, etc. But obviously with payment plans, coming with TSA means that you do have the option of just paying your deposit, which is $7.95. And then we can put you on a 6, 8, 10 month training payment plan. So we can make it all nice and easy for you. And again, getting those flights, giving you that spare cash to be able to pay you for your flights.
Yep. Payment plans can be credit card or bank transfer either.
Yep. So the only other cost that you're going to need to do it, there is some money that you'll need for tipping, but pretty much your flights, your visas, your vaccinations, insurance, everything as part of the trip is included. And as you've heard, you are very well fed, very well looked after. And yeah, there's no hidden kind of charges or surprises along the way unless you're,
Not really. No, unless you're buying stuff.
Buy some knickknacks off the side of the road.
Unless you're buying a Tanzanite.
Tanzanite.
Tanzanite, the rare gem that you can only get in Tanzania. Yeah, I don't think we were going there. Apparently, it's an investment stone.
Yeah.
What we hear. Yeah.
Adrian, maybe with the only other expense that we had factored in, but I know not everyone in the group had, was the tipping for the porters, but also for the safari. It was more the safari ones we hadn't thought of.
Okay, all right. So tipping at the moment, our local company recommends between $200 to $300 US for tipping on the safari. And so what that is this time round we put an agreed amount into a pool of money, and then I just do some maths, split all that between, you have a group of 42 porters assisting you on the mountain. So that includes guides, so accredited guides on the mountain. That includes summit porters, which assist you on the summit night. That includes teams of chefs, of waiters. You've also got guys putting up your tents. You've also got people carrying your portaloo around, which is, it's an important job. And then you have a team of standard porters that are bringing all of that gear up and down the mountain. There is no standing camps on the mountain at all. So everything that you need or use, from water to toilets to flowers on the table, these guys carry it all. So yeah, we had a group tip, and then I just put all that together in a series of envelopes, which is what our TSA rep will organise over there. For the safari was $10 US per person per day, I think. Yeah, so it's about $40 US. So if I think if you budget around the $300 mark for your tipping, and again, bearing in mind that obviously as Australians, we don't, not part of our culture. In places like Africa, it is a big deal. It is very important to them, and it is quite a ceremony at the end to give them out the money that that you feel as though that they've earned during the tip.
And that's US dollars.
That's US. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Vaccinations. Vaccinations per person. I think I only had one. I had one vaccination, which was the I can't remember what it was.
Yellow fever, didn't you?
No, typhoid.
One of them.
Something. One of them.
Typhoid.
One of them, and I took some malaria tablets,
Yep.
which I actually didn't bother taking once I got home. I should have. And Dimox, which is the altitude tablet. I've got 96 of them left over.
So have I.
Can we sell them on this
So
time?
Marie, John, and Alina, because they come in a packet of 100, and you take them out 4 of them.
So Kelly and Kylie will have a whole load of Dimox for the next year.
So yeah, you're chucking them around like Smarties. So that's vaccinations. That's entirely up to you. Obviously, see your doctor. Depends on when you've had, all your usual mumps, measles, rubella, typhoid, yellow fever, whatever you feel as though you need to have. There is no mandatory, let's just put that in, there's no mandatory vaccinations to enter Tanzania. You do need a visa, which is $50 US, which you can do online prior to leaving Australia. You can get money out over there. However, it is local currency, not US currency. My strong recommendation is to organise US currency before leaving home.
Yeah.
In small denominations.
So I guess while we've got Alina and John and Marie, does anyone have any questions to them rather us just selling you it? Is there any questions that you want to ask for anyone who's actually been up on the mountain?
Well, I've got one.
Go for it, Greg.
Look, I've never used walking poles, but I see that a lot of people were using the poles. You recommend trialing them and using them for the mountain?
I personally would,
Yeah.
Greg. Yeah. Bit of research on them. They take about 20% pressure off your knees. Going uphill, it's really good, especially when you've got a pack, but also coming downhill, especially from summit night, it was almost like skiing down the mountain at times.
Yeah.
You just plant the pole in front of you and, you know, to help maneuver yourself. So especially if you've got knee problems, highly recommend them personally.
And there were some people that took walking poles and carried them quite a bit of the way in their backpack, but they did. I noticed they did use them on the way down. Definitely use them on the way down. So you can take them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And also,
Gators.
Gators, again, yeah, look, recommended just because it's really dusty. Yeah, it's really dusty. It's not so much the cold; it's just your boots and your lower legs just get covered in dust and rubble. Also stops all the crap getting in the tops of your shoes as well.
Yeah.
If you've got a pair of Gators on. Again, they don't have to be the top of the line. A pair of those for $50, $60 from Anaconda will do just fine.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah, go
Yep.
for it. John.
For the people that did it who've already done the trek, who are on the chat tonight, how did you feel about your training? Did you feel that your training was sufficient? Do you have any advice? That's my biggest concern is training. Do you have any advice on training?
I think from my point of view, I think what Tracy was saying before, a lot of it is the mental side of it. But we also found, like around Bendigo, there's not a lot of mountains around Bendigo.
But you've got Pyramid Hill, mate.
Pyramid Hill, yeah.
Pyramid Hill.
But even climbing Macedon and Mount Dandenong, just the fact that your legs are getting used to going uphill is important. Just build that leg strength and glute strength and lower back strength as well from walking up hills. But also a mistake a lot of people make, I think, is they do a walk every Saturday or once every fortnight. You're walking every single day. So what we tried to do was some Saturdays and Sundays. So you walk uphill on a Saturday, back it up again on the Sunday. So your body's getting used to backing it up, a couple of days in a row.
And that's a really good point with any long distance hike. People often will do the big distance and then recover the next day. And it's often the ability to be able to get out of bed and actually show up again the next day. That's the hardest.
Yeah.
And one other thing that had just occurred to me, one person on our trip really found the night walking difficult, so just because they hadn't experienced before. So that could be worth practicing as well.
Yeah, good.
Are you night walking every night? Or how much is night walking a part of it?
So we did one night, we walked into camp about 7 o'clock or something. So it was dark. Then, but some at night, you're starting at midnight. So it's 6 hours in the dark.
I was going to say the only other tip I would say is get used to your gear. Like know how it works, know how it feels. Somebody in our group didn't have a hydration bladder because they hadn't used one before, but then they realized that they probably should have had one with it. Not to say that you have to have one, but they found that they could drink more water by having that, as opposed to having water bottles clipped onto the front of their pack. So just find whatever system works for you. Same with your footwear. find out what jacket works best for you, especially when you're moving versus stocked. I also did a calculation on battery capacity and how much I needed for the hill to charge my phone, keep my headlamp going. I also had it in reach, so just keeping all that, like having all that documented, ready to go.
Alina, it's definitely a number.
Way too much spare time.
If anybody needs to get all those stats, we'll pass it over to you. She'll explain it all to you.
Yeah. I've got the stats here ready to go if you want it.
We'll leave you on the call at the end, and anyone can ask you those numbers. All right, there's a few questions just coming through on the chat here.
Clarify Tanzania. Yes, so my understanding is there's no mandatory vaccinations for Tanzania. It's just whatever you'll recommend from your doctor. My TSA shoe covers would be fine. So the little TSA gaiters would be fine. And your normal knee gaiters is probably what I would recommend. They're just a little bit sturdier. I wouldn't hire them. I'd just go and, to be honest, I'd just go and buy a pair. They're like $50, $50 or $60 from Paddy Pallner or Anaconda. Make sure they fit. Make sure they, so there's just nearly small, medium, large. Just make sure they fit your leg, particularly if you've got a pair of thick pants on.
And take spare laces for them as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the undercover. So it depends on what they are. Again, you've got to sort of have a look at gear, and gear is what we can cover. Getting closer to the walk for those going. How much did flights cost in AU?
So the flights, if you can get them early enough, are around about 2,500. Like I say, last year they were up to nearly $4,000, and so people were paying for the Thai airlines, and the Thai airlines are generally between about 1,900 and 2,300. So they are substantially more affordable. So look, flight sales, if you can get them on flight sales, do it on flight sales. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you either catch it or you don't, but you shouldn't be paying any more than about 3.5.
Yes, Jeff, if you can get up and down the 5 climbs in the Dandenongs, then you're good to go. But very important is what some of the others said, is being able to back up the 5 climbs with the 3 climbs on the next day.
Does anybody else have any questions or just want to shout in or ask anybody that's here?
Got one over here, which is how do you compare the Camino? So I think that's John and Marie.
Yeah. Well, the only similarity I would say is that you're walking distance each day, consecutive. Each day you get up and you walk a bit. But the Camino we did in Spain didn't have the altitude, obviously, that Kili did. So,
I think too that with the way we did the Camino was that we had no plans each day. We walked until we were tired, and that was 17 k's one day and 30 k's another day. Whereas if there's a lot of freedom for us because it's just the 2 of us. We didn't do it with a group at all. Here you've got on the hard days, you've got the support of other people there, but you know your destination. You get there. The meals are arranged and stuff like that. So yeah, really the only similarity is that you're walking day after day after day.
Yeah.
Both are magnificent though.
Yeah, so very, very different, but so rewarding, both of them. Yeah.
In terms of where people live, what happens is once we get tour numbers sort of finalised each tour, we do have info sessions where we go over more about gear and that sort of stuff. We assist with training, but we also put you in touch if there's somebody nearby. If there's Melbourne base, we do training, hikes and fitness sessions here in Melbourne and assist you in terms of, like I said before, trying to get you there. Hopefully knowing a few other people, but also being in the best the best shape possible. And then Kelly's mentioned they announced discounted international flights today. Good time to start looking.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's good
But
timing.
just show of hands. I know a few of you have already booked in, so just put your hand up if you've already booked in for next year. Yeah, I think there should be a few more. Then they're all hiding. I know Craig is. Kelly.
Where's Kylie's hand?
Yeah, here we go. There's a few more hands coming up. Marie. Yeah, Sally. So I think there's like 9 people booked in at the moment. So we'll aim for probably double that. We've probably got a huge interest list. So hopefully we'll manage to get that. Who thinks that they would like to do it but still doesn't want to tell us yet? Again.
My hand definitely goes up. I'd love to get back there again.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions that they'd like to ask? And especially of the people that have just come back this time, or, you know, just ponder it a little bit more.
Yep.
Yep. Otherwise, yeah, we will wrap up and we'll say thank you very much for Alina, John and Marie for joining us. Because as I say, it doesn't matter how much we sit here and tell you about how awesome it is. I think to have some people that have actually done it and just come back is really valuable to everyone here. So I appreciate your time for coming on and actually sharing your stories with us.
Thanks,
and again,
guys.
a massive congratulations to you. And yeah, we'll be in touch to see what's next, hey?
Yeah. No worries, no worries.
And, everybody else who's on, obviously I will be in contact with you over the next few days to make sure that your bookings go through, just in case you forgot how to do it. But otherwise, thank you very much for your time tonight, and I hope we've inspired you and excited you and scared you and done all the right things in the right orders to maybe get you to take a little chance on yourself and join us on the next big adventure.
And at the summit. If you got any follow-up questions, we're always happy to answer them at any time. So just drop us a line to the hello@takesharpadventures.com.au.
All right, and that's from us. We'll just like to say thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
See ya.
Guys,
Guys.
see you later. Thank you. Thanks, Marie and John.
No worries. See you.
Thanks, guys.
So just end recording.
Yeah. Finish it there.